You are listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank, your partner in possible.
All right, folks, welcome back. Another episode, Ain't No Seats podcast. As always, before we get going, we got to shout out our folks at Emprise Bank. There's more options to banking now more than ever. Who you work with is more important than how close they are to your home. Emprise has digital banking that meets you where you are, on your phone, on your computer, or even your smartwatch. A trusted partner is at your fingertips. Shout out Emprise Bank. Let's get into it, AB. Tell me if you've heard this before. Just tell me if you heard this before. A Kansas basketball team kind of struggles in January, maybe even early February. The fan base starts to melt down a little bit. You start hearing that, this is going to be one of the worst teams we've had in years. Just don't see it. I can't see this team being good. And then they just flip a switch in February and become, national title contenders right in front of our eyes. Tell me if you've heard that before. I think you have, right?
It feels like a tradition unlike any other, as our boy Nance would say.
Here we are. We've made it. Like the script for every KU basketball season, aside from a few, is playing out pretty much as it always does. We got our January slump. Granted, it was during one of the toughest stretch of schedule we've maybe ever played, but we didn't play good during it. Outside of Jalen, he was about, no one else was really playing their best ball at that point. But now we're in February, and it just feels like everything's starting to click. Everything's coming together. The bench is starting to get production, and it just cracks me up. I don't know why we waste time getting riled up, wound up, stressed prior to February with any Bill Self team, because something happens and it just works. So big week we just had. We get 2 road wins at Oklahoma, at Oklahoma State, pretty handily. Oklahoma State took a little bit of a fight, but Oklahoma was pretty much just pure domination for probably the final 30 minutes of the game. It's a great feeling. I'm officially back on. I've gone on and off. I'm officially back on repeat watch. I'm not saying we will. We're definitely not the favorites, but it's doable, right? Are we back on that train, AB?
I think so, and we'll get into bracketology talk later, but there's it's going to work out in our favor. Breaking news, it always does. But yeah, just the way they've looked, and we said it last week. I know you weren't on with us, but you beat Texas when Jalen only scores 2 points, and you're feeling great, and you're like, oh shit, well, glad it happened now, but that's probably not going to be the way it goes, the rest of the year. Jalen was historic for the 6-game stretch where we weren't very good. And I'm not saying he's been bad recently, but he hasn't been the best player on the team the last couple weeks, I'd say. It's been Grady last night, and just kind of going back and forth between guys, and I think that's how they're going to, that's how they're going to advance in March. It can't just be Jalen. People are going to figure that out. And I think people seeing that, especially me the past, 4 or 5 games, I don't know how you couldn't be confident in some sort of deep run into March.
I know, and as we always say, March is a complete crapshoot, so if we lose to a 9 seed or a 10 seed, share this clip, whatever. But this team's starting to come together. All the things you worry about, bench production, point guard play, not that we were ever that worried about DeJuan, but there was a moment where it's okay, why is DeJuan not trying to score? He had a really rough January. It's what's going on with DeJuan? Is he not maybe as good as we thought he was? And now he's been absolutely phenomenal the last 5 games or whatever it is. We question the bench. Joe Yesufu's had a great last couple of weeks. Ernest Uday, dude was buried on the bench. Buried. Couldn't even get out if he tried. And now he's playing significant minutes to the point where there were times last night where I preferred Ernest on the court over KJ just because of the Boone situation. Boone was tough for KJ. So it's crazy that, like I kind of started the show with, we always have these fears, these concerns, and doesn't mean this team's going to roll to even a Big 12 title. Who knows? But the way things always seem to come together, and you can go into March knowing that, upset's possible, but also a freaking national title is possible. And that's what I think is the most fun part about being a KU fan every single year a title's on the table. So I'm loving what we're seeing so far. I mean, in Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, they aren't monsters, but Oklahoma State was arguably the hottest team in the conference. So getting those 2 wins in this conference is huge. But main thing I wanted to talk about from last night is we finally got Grady Dick's been good, but Grady Dick hasn't had like a scorched earth moment, scorched earth game where he just takes over, which I think KU fans have just been begging to happen. And we finally got it. I mean, the dude, there's something about the way that guy shoots the ball. It just goes in a little more crisp than other people's shots.
Yeah, that one he hit at the end of the half was just, it was funny to me. Like you said, it hit the ceiling, it hit the rafters, and then barely hit the net. And he comes out at halftime, and he does the same thing from the top of the key and somehow hit even less of the net. When he's on from beyond the arc, really anywhere, it's like special to watch. We've had good shooters, but I don't know if I felt as good as I felt last night with Grady shooting the ball. Like when he just gets on that run, it's crazy to watch. But like never felt that way with Devontae or Svi really. I guess Svi's senior year. Frank Mason shot 50%, but I was never like super comfortable with him shooting threes. Like he's truly a shooter, and we haven't really had much of that. We've had guys that can shoot, but not guys that are shooters.
He just like and I think part of what you're saying has to do with just his. If you like wrote a book or I don't know, made a video about the perfect jump shot, I feel like all his mechanics, everything he does is just the most perfect jumper. Like it's not I don't know, like sometimes I get vibes of like it's like old school almost. Like it's so just kind of perfect, and I don't even know how to explain it, but like it's just so solid. There's nothing really wrong with it. He releases it from so high. And he can make it in different, like, you know, he'll have some that I feel like he doesn't put a ton of arc on it, like depending on the type of shot. And then some last night, like we joked, were hitting the moon. So he's just an incredible shooter. I'm trying to, I really want him to go on a stretch where he does, like he's had a really good year, but he also has those moments where even games, like 3-game stretches where you don't feel like he's still putting up points, but it's not because he's making shots. And I really want him to continue. Like I would just love to see him ride this momentum into Saturday and have like another, doesn't have to be 26-point night, but go get 18 and have 4 of them be threes. Like I just want him to continue to be that constant threat from outside, because it is so fun having a guy like that. Like think of all the dudes we've played against in the Big 12 where you're just terrified of him going off for 4 or 5 threes a game. It's happened many times. Like I love having the guy that every other team is terrified, especially when he's like a scrawny, you know, white guy. Like we are.
And his name's Grady Dick.
Yeah, his name's Grady Dick, and his dad's name's Bart Dick. It's the greatest name of all time. People forget that. Name's madness. Run it back.
Would.
So, yeah, I mean, it was awesome to see Grady get going like that. Not that he was due, but it just felt like that was it was a long time coming where he just had, like I said, that scorched earth game. I saw someone say like that should just be Grady Dick's draft tape, like that entire game, because he really did it all. Like he scored. B-Turn a few weeks ago asked us if Grady Dick sucks at the rim, and we kind of looked up the numbers afterwards, and he really hadn't been that good at the rim. But I felt like last night he made a variety of layups. Like the dude's crafty around the rim, and like I feel like last night was exactly why people think he's going to be a lottery pick.
Yeah, I mean he was 10 of 17 from the floor and 4 of 9 from 3. So what is that? 6 of 8 from like 2-point range. Yeah, and some of them were like high difficulty that he was putting in. Like it's very impressive. But last night was, and I say this almost every time we have a 5-star one and done player. Every time, and it's like the KU teams, but it's January's not very good, and then there's a game in February where you're like, oh shit, yeah, this guy's gone next year. Enjoy him for the next month. That might have been last night for Grady.
Yeah, I mean, because you've been seeing the tweets, the message boards, like maybe Grady's back this year, NIL. Like, no, that dude, NIL can't compete with top 13, 15 pick and being in the NBA. Like, the dude he's, as we've laid out, he's too good of a shooter, and he's shown more than that a lot of times this year, like, he's leaving. That's great. We knew he'd be here 1 year. Let's just hope we continue to get, like, I want a few more of those games we saw last night out of him because they're so fun. So
well, it's different when a guy goes for like 30 points, 25 points, and he's shooting from everywhere. Like, that just looks crisper than a quiet, oh yeah, he had 26, but half of them are free throws and layups and mid-range jumpers.
And, like, his shots last night were, like, loud. Like, the one at the end of the half, like, that catches your eye. You're like, holy shit, that dude just shot that 30 feet high. And then right out of the gates, it was funny. I mean, the announcement crew, which we can talk about them, but, they talked about, like, that's a play that changes momentum. Like, and it really did. Like, Grady came right back out and hit another one, and we really never looked back from that time. We were down, 37-36. He makes that three, and we pretty much led the rest of the way by probably 5+ points almost.
Yeah, I don't think they took the lead again. Maybe they tied it at one point early in the second half, but
yeah,
it was
funny. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Bryce Thompson?
It's just frustrating. I mean, I can't act like I watch Oklahoma State games when they're not playing KU, so I only have like 4 games to choose from. But to me, it's just
going off when he plays KU.
That's the problem. Like, I went and looked at some of his stats last night during the first half, and I was like, dude, it's just really annoying that. And of all guys, he was at KU for 1 year, or was he here for 2?
Yeah,
I think just 1 year.
The weird COVID year. So,
was he on the COVID team?
The team that played in front of no fans, not the 2020.
Okay. I got him mixed up. Yeah, that seems bad. I got it mixed up with like the first year we did this with Dotson and Grimes and Diedrich.
That team stunk too.
Yeah. But no, it's just like frustrating to me. Like, he never really had those moments at KU. He might have had a couple good games, and it's out every time. And maybe it's just personal to him, but I don't know. He still hasn't beaten us. So at the end of the day, I'm not too worried about it. But
I'll say this: happy for the kid. Seems to, he went home. It's where he's from. He's from that area or whatever. Seems to be doing well. Even though he makes 2-point jumpers in our face over and over again, I'm kind of okay that I think that would drive me insane. Mm-hmm. Like, why does that dude settle for so many mid-range jumpers? I tweeted that last night. Like, thank God he's not taking 1.5 steps back and making these 3-pointers, because it is so I mean, they were contested too. Like, the dude's a good shooter. It just kind of like, I was sitting there thinking last night, and I almost tweeted it, but I didn't want to come off negative because he seems like a good dude. You remember his dad called me that one time about that video. It was a wild thing. But like the guys, they're good dudes. But I think he'd drive me crazy as a player, and that's all I could think about last night. It's like, this dude settles for more mid-range jumper. I was trying to think of another KU player that settled for more mid-range jumpers.
David McCormick.
Bryce Thompson loves a long two. The guy.
Wait, there were somewhere it was like MJ NBA Finals in Utah. Like, he hit one in the first half that was, like, I think if you saw it from the back angle, it would have been identical. Push off and all.
If this dude played in like the early 80s, would be an absolute star. Just like those guys that would just pull up like right at the elbow every time.
Beat you on the dribble, take a little step back. Yeah. He's DeMar DeRozan's favorite player, I can tell you that much.
I saw someone tweet a picture.
Really?
They were like, Bryce Thompson tonight. Like, I'm just very... Yeah, go ahead.
Well, this is just on DeRozan, actually, but I heard a stat the other day that the big three for the Chicago Bulls... No, this has nothing to do with KU, so don't get too interested in it. But with Levine, DeRozan, and Vucevic, they've played like X thousands amount of minutes together, and their total plus-minus is 0. On the dot. 0 points. And Lonzo Ball, he sprained his meniscus a year and a half ago, and he still can't even walk, so... I'm just fired up about basketball right now, and I need to feel a little emotion before we talk about it.
And that's Talking Bulls from AD. Thank you for the Bulls segment.
Of course. I'm glad they stayed pat.
But yeah, back to, I don't want to spend too much time on. I was just curious your thoughts, because the whole time Bryce Thompson was doing this to us, I was like, it looks really good. He looks really efficient while doing it, but I think he'd drive me insane.
He had 14 points in the first 10 minutes of the game, and he finished with 17.
Yeah. Yeah, so interesting. Yeah, I forgot. He really didn't do much in the second half. The Boone dude's a stud. Tough matchup for us, but yeah.
Can I talk about one other guy on Oklahoma State that I love?
John Michael Wright.
No, I don't even
Sounds like
say
an
his first
incredible
name.
musical artist.
Cisse. I'm obsessed with Cisse. Like, personally, I seriously hope that he can develop some sort of offense, because he would be unbelievable. Like, NBA talent, unbelievable. I feel him on defense is insane. Well, I'm not really, but it's like Cisse, it's funny to me because he's on the court. He's clearly a presence, and he's blocking shots, and he's came off the bench last night, 11 rebounds. The touchdown low is shocking. It really is. It's like, he's making it too difficult on himself. Like, he's 7 feet tall with long arms, just dunk.
You know when you're playing against a team that has a really bad shooter and the guy squares up for a jumper and you're like, oh, good, that's a turnover because he's going to brick it. Yep. He says like that, but he's within like 3 feet. Like if he turns to shoot a layup, you're like, good, turnover, ball the other way. Like the guy just clanks 3.
And like we had Yesufu on him at times, DeJuan on him at times, and it was like he couldn't get anything going. But no, I just hope for him because he seems like a fun player to watch. Just develop like 50% touch, just a little bit.
He'll get there. But shout out Boynton. He's got him cruising. Your second favorite coach. Good for him. Good dude. All right. I don't have much thoughts on Oklahoma State. We covered the Oklahoma State story. It's Grady Dick. It's bench product. It's the fact that Ernest and Joe are becoming guys you can 100% trust on the court, which is something Bill Self always struggles, it feels like, to let guys like that have the longer leash. So even though Ernest's 5th foul last night was bananas, what's he doing? You know that Bill had just told him, like, hey, go play smart, don't foul. First play down on defense, he just jumps in for a steal. I don't care. This is what drives me nuts about college players. It's not always the right call, but it is like you just have to know the refs are going to call fouls, like charges. It's not always the right call, but I think KJ did it against OU. If you're running full speed into a player sitting in the middle of the lane, even if that guy does slide, the ref's going to call a charge. Same with Ernest last night. Like if you're reaching around that guy, you're going to get called for a foul. And I have no idea why I'm ranting about this. It's just a thought that came to my head. I cannot stand when players don't factor in more of how bad officiating is.
Mm-hmm. James Bradbury.
I don't get the reference.
That's the Eagles corner that held at the end of the game.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why I was thinking of, I thought this was
Oklahoma State's 12th man off the bench.
Yeah, I was very off. But yeah, anyways, Ernest, that's the storyline from Oklahoma State. Ernest is, the dude's active. The dude's doing the things you want to see him do. Joe, 8 points last night, just the perfect kind of spark off the bench, even though he can be hilarious at times. But really what I want to talk about.
There's not a single person on earth more confident that shoots 28% from 3 to take a 3 than Joe Yesufu. And he's been like hitting some recently, so maybe he hasn't. He's at least been playing better recently. So like, I don't know what his 3-point percentage was at like a month ago, but no, I saw 28% last night.
I swear he went like 12 games without making a shot. Like he'd come in, he'd take 2 shots, brick them both, be out. Like you knew he was going to start to get it going a little bit, but I'm happy for him because he seems like such a good dude. He tries so hard. He wants to be good. I'm happy that it's starting to come together. And he's, as we always joke about these guys, they're funny. The guys that shoot high volume with absolutely they do not remember the last shot. They could have hit the side of the backboard. We joke about it with McCullough. We joke about it with Joe. Joe's a little different because Joe is a scorer. But, like, you love those guys. They're going to make you bang your head against the wall occasionally, but they can also go win you a game in March if things are, if we're playing against a 10 seed, a 9 seed, and DeJuan Harris rolls his ankle or something, like, and offense is just struggling. Joe Yesufu can come in and get you 12 points and maybe sneak a win out of the game. We saw it with Remy. Joe's not Remy. People keep wanting to make that comparison. Not going to happen, but it still is similar to have a guy with that type of spark off the bench. So I love Joe Yesufu. I'm forever entertained by him. He cracks me up. So what I want to talk about now is, I guess, one, Big 12 standings, but two, Saturday, KU Baylor. I don't know how you feel about this, but like, it has the feel of like it could be an all-time classic. Like, it just has one of those all-time Allen Fieldhouse just banger games that people talk about for a long time. Just top 10 teams battling it out for first place. College game day. Crowd's going to be absolute bananas. Both teams are kind of peaking right now. Like, it's going to be, I'm so excited. I'm very nervous. Like, it's also one of those games where I almost think the crowd, as juiced as they are, and tell me if this is a dumb comment, but as juiced as the crowd is, it almost feels like a game where both teams are so locked in that the crowd just almost becomes a no factor by the end of it. Like OU, KU back in triple overtime. Like, the crowd was a big factor, but it felt like at the end it just was like both teams were balling. It did not matter. Like, that's the vibe I'm getting from KU Baylor. Am I overreacting?
Maybe a little bit, but I wanted to say something and I stopped myself because Baylor's won at Allen before, but Baylor just feels like one of those teams that it doesn't matter how good they are. They just always kind of stink a little bit at Allen. Like, the only time, oh no, it was before COVID, never mind. But like the non-COVID year, we beat them by 20 and they went on to win the national championship. Like, it just feels like there's been a lot of times where Baylor's top 15, top 10, they come into Allen, and it's just never competitive. And whether it's Scott Drew not letting the team watch the video, whether it's them getting pissed off at officials, whether it's Scott Drew planning on how he's going to congratulate KU after Baylor loses in the second round and KU's going out to warm up, like, something just happens. Yeah, something just happens there with him. Like, he's just one of those guys. So I don't know. I'm very confident on Saturday.
Okay. And I'm confident. I think we win, but I truly think it's going to be just like a, final possession, like comes down to the final 30 seconds.
It sounds like you're like,
absolutely.
Are you like 60-40 that KU wins this game?
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. I mean, what's the line going to be? I would bet it's like 2.5?
KenPom has 4.
God, man, Allen Fieldhouse just adds so much to the
That's not even that. It might go higher because of Allen. Like, he just goes straight numbers.
Maybe
that's what's crazy.
Like, but to me, Baylor, I feel like Baylor's playing some of the best basketball in the country, and like, this is
I don't disagree. But so was Texas when they came in. Like, there are just times where we have to remember two things about Bill Self. He doesn't lose at home more than once in a year, and he doesn't really ever get swept by a team. Both of those are going against Baylor this Saturday, and they're playing their best basketball. Like, and I wanted to wait to like spew that out until later with my points on like seeding and like the rest of the year. But this just feels like, and it may be close, it may be competitive. I'm more of like an 85 or 90% sure that KU wins this game. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm overconfident. Are you like, do you think I'm being crazy, like being this confident in them?
I mean, it's historically you would be correct, but also there are just sometimes those games where, like I was trying to say at the beginning, like, I think this is just two really good teams that are just going to go blow for blow, and it's going to come down to the final minute. Like, no matter how good the crowd is, we'll have our runs, they'll have their runs. It just feels like that type of game. Like, I was like the OU games, one that I brought up. I was trying to think of some other examples of like, maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe we just always win these games easily. Not easily, but like, even if we won by 4 or 5 on Saturday, I would be thrilled by that, obviously. But like, it just, I feel like it's a game where it's going to be extremely stressful the entire game. I think back to like, even going way back, like Oklahoma State, Wayne Simeon year, like just two good teams duking it out. Crowd helped, but it just felt like it was two monster teams that it doesn't matter which gym they were playing in. That game was going to be a 1-possession game late in the game. And like, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. Like, I fully intend on standing the final 10 minutes in Allen Fieldhouse, sweating. The building's going to be so hot. It's just going to be classic Allen Fieldhouse where it's going to be chaos. But I think Baylor, weirdly, and this isn't weird, but like, I respect Baylor a lot more since the national title. Like, Scott Drew is still a cornball, but I don't feel like they are just someone that we will just stomp all over and just laugh at anymore. Whereas, 3 years ago, I would have said that for sure. Like, oh, it's Scott Drew. We'll kill them. But I don't know. He's still a cool ball.
Even last year, though. Do you remember what the final score was last year, Allen? Baylor was number 4 in Ken Palm when they played.
What was it?
83-59 Hawks.
Why do I not remember that game at all?
I think it was he was after the weekend after the Chiefs lost. And it was like,
so does that so that helps your opinion a little bit, but also it kind of makes me think like, if Scott Drew's truly an elite guy, which I think he's up there, do you really let your team go get absolutely smoked in 2 big conference games at KU back-to-back years? Like, have some respect.
He just did. He just did. The year before when they won the Natty, KU won it out in 71-58.
Well,
see, here's what happened. Scott Drew won at Allen Fieldhouse in 2020.
I don't know why.
Scott Drew won it in Allen Fieldhouse in 2020, and that was his win for this decade. Like,
people forget
how it goes.
Dotson was hurt that game. So
yep, did again the rest of the year.
Me and you sat together.
We did with Cold Pete. That's why we lost.
Not fun at all. We actually almost stayed home because of the snow. I wish we would have, but so I don't know. It'll be very interesting. I don't know why. I'm just getting that vibe, that feeling of all-time classic Allen Fieldhouse game. Wouldn't be surprised if it comes down to a bad call that maybe goes our way. It's a storyline on Twitter all week. The KU gets all the calls.
That's just sports Twitter now, though. Like, there's not a game that goes final without people bitching about the refs.
Can we talk about Chris Spatola?
Oh my God, dude! Does anyone hate anything more than he hates replay review? He would bring it up when there was no reviews. Like, and guess what? We didn't have to watch his TV screen to see it because they called it right away.
Dude, it was
good grief.
It's so funny thinking that he's Coach K's son-in-law.
I didn't know that until last night.
Yeah, and when he's like, they got the call right on TV live in the Duke Virginia game, and then they went to the monitor just to get the call wrong. He was extra triggered by that one. Very funny to see Duke on the other end of a bad call. That made me quite happy. But yeah, Spatola, he's just kind of goofy, kind of a funny guy that I've never disliked him. I still really don't. But last night was kind of like a classic example of careful what you wish for. Yeah. Because I've been a Fran defender. Fran is annoying. He can be a dork at times. He's just annoying at times. But Fran is very good. He knows the KU program so well. He knows Big 12 basketball so well. Outside of he gets way too involved with the refs, I think. But Spatola had a stretch last night where it was bananas. He thought one play on Jalen was a charge, which
just wasn't.
What are we doing? And then the next play where the guy blatantly pushes his arm, he's like, that's not a charge. What's going on? He got both calls wrong back to back and ranted before even seeing a replay, and it was hilarious when they showed the replays back. It just proved how wrong he was. And it was just so funny watching KU Twitter explode going, we're a tough crowd to please.
I know you didn't watch this game live last year, but he was on the call for KU Mizzou and Allen. And I specifically remember, I was like, what are you talking about here? Because I think for whatever reason, obviously nowadays everyone wears different shoes. It's not like a team uniform shoe anymore. And he was like, I just wish they'd go back to everyone wears the same shoe and everyone wears the same wristband and everyone wears those. Dude, it's KU Missouri for the first time in a decade. Can we shut the fuck up and just watch the game?
Do you know where he played college basketball at?
I want 3 guesses. West Point?
Just a little bit. Oh, okay.
Is it? Oh, that was just a Coach K guess. Virginia Tech?
No.
Colgate?
No. It was your first guess was good. He played at Army.
Well, yeah.
Is that the same school?
Yeah. It's at West Point. It's that's the town that it's in. Some people call it West Point. Some people call it Army.
Wow. Oh. I'm an idiot. I was going to say, that was a great guess. I thought you were going to immediately say Army, but I'm...
Well, is that how he got introduced to Coach K's daughter?
Maybe. I don't know. But, yeah, he played in Army from 1998 to 2002, and I promise you those dudes were all wearing the same shoes and the same wrist, and probably not allowed to wear wristbands. Like, who wants that in 2020, whenever that was, 2022, when he was ranting about that? I don't know. Chris Spatola, I'm not willing to dislike you yet, but last night it was a little much.
Well, and it's
a little much.
You hinted at it too. Like, we've been on such a heater with announcers lately, or whether it's Billis or Fran, or I like the CBS crew a lot. I think Jay Wright's like really good.
Right? Yeah. Rapper is incredible.
Yeah. So it's like hard to watch a game with those guys on it and not be excited. So when you go on a heater like that, and then you get like Chiefs playoff run where they're all awesome announcers except for Romo, and then you get to a guy like Spatola, like you get the ESPN D team. You know, they're down there for a reason.
It's tough. But all right, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back. We'll talk Big 12 outlook and a little bracketology. All right, AB, we talked Baylor. We've got differing. Not that I think we both agree we're going to win. I just think it's going to take a lot more out of us. I think it's going to be a thriller. You think Scott Drew rolls over as almost always. So we'll see. Now tell me this. We've got, 2 weeks left in the season?
Yep, 5 games.
Ish. So we joke about Scott Drew, Baylor, Texas, they lose to Texas Tech. I feel really good about the Hawks winning the Big 12. Maybe not outright. A lot could happen. We've still got 2 really tough road games. But I'm starting to feel really good. It just, as I joked at the beginning of the show, where the script plays out in KU's favor, it feels like that's happening. It feels like we had to get these 2 road wins. We've got a home game on Saturday. And I'm not counting Bill Self out to go win at TCU because, like you said, the dude doesn't get swept very often. So it's like I'm starting to get very, very confident that we can feel pretty good about winning a Big 12 title. I would love to win it outright. That's not crazy either with the schedule some of these teams have left. Where are you at on the whole conference?
I think they'll get a share at least, just because I think they can, win at home. And they've got 2 home games with a couple pretty bad teams, I would say, no matter how much computers love Westphal. But
I think winnable home games on the schedule, like all conference year, I would say. Yeah.
Yep. But I would say the coolest thing to me is that it's pretty much a 3-horse race at this point, right? Like Baylor, Texas, KU. So the 3 of those teams, they all play each other one more time. So 2 games for each of them against the other 2. And only one of them's at home and one of them's on the road. So Baylor comes to Lawrence, KU goes to Austin, and Texas goes to Waco. So it's like, it's about as even as you can ask for. I don't know if anyone wins it outright because I think the most likely outcome is all 3 home teams win. Yeah. So everyone gets another loss, everyone gets another win, and then whatever happens, those other 3 games happens. But now I don't have Baylor's schedule pulled up or Texas' schedule pulled up. I don't know what else they have.
So here's what Baylor's got. Now, 2 weeks ago, this sounded a lot more daunting, but they've got to go to KU, and then they got to go to K-State, who 2 weeks ago that would have sounded miserable, but an old man that I know named Tony Bax predicted that the Cats would absolutely, choke down their leg or whatever the rest of the season. It's been a disaster. You predicted they wouldn't win a single game in February. I believe. And
it was conference game.
They won one in conference. Mike Miles was hurt. People forget that. Maybe they would have lost more. I don't know. But point is, Baylor at K-State, not near as hard as it felt like that game would be. So to me, Baylor's next 2 games are maybe their 2 hardest games. Now, Texas then goes to Baylor on February 25th, but I feel pretty confident Baylor handles them at home. So to me, I don't know, because then Baylor, the Big 12 is just so absurd. You look at the schedule and it's like, at Oklahoma State, that's an easy game, but it's like, no, it's not. Like, Oklahoma State just won at Iowa State, and Oklahoma State is still really good. Baylor's still got to go to there, and then they finish with Iowa State at Baylor. So, like, Baylor's schedule is KU, at K-State, Texas at home, at Oklahoma State, and Iowa State coming to Baylor. Like,
That's probably 2 losses on there.
I was going to say the same. I don't know if it's KU and K-State or KU and Baylor or KU and Oklahoma State. Feels like it would take a really impressive run to only lose 1 game out of that stretch. Mm-hmm. So that's Baylor. Now let's go to Texas.
Texas has OU at home. It's probably a win. They stink. Yeah. They are bad.
Yeah, except for, I
can't believe they won.
K-State.
Hate to see it. Then they get Iowa State at home, at Baylor, at TCU, and KU at home to finish the year. So, like, regardless, everyone's got a gauntlet. But to me, and this is why, do we want to get into bracketology now? Tied into conference?
Sure.
Don't let KU finish the year finish the last 5 games 4-1 and then win in Kansas City because they're going to be the number 1 overall seed.
I love it.
I'm dead serious.
I love it. I love it.
Let me go through this.
Very possible.
And this is why I genuinely think it's going to happen. They're beating Baylor on Saturday. Home wins. They don't get swept. They're beating TCU next week. They don't get swept. Westphal and Allen. Sorry, Huggy. Probably get tossed 8 minutes into the game like last year in Kansas City. Texas Tech at home, they stink. And at Texas. I'm giving them 1 loss in those 5 games. Go to Kansas City and win. So all of these games except Texas Tech at home is a quad 1 win. If they do what I just said, that's 7-1. Add 6 or 7 quad 1 wins to the 12 they already have.
Yeah.
They're already 3 up on everybody else. How many up are they going to be on everyone if they finish the year 7-1? Like, they might have 2 or 3 more losses than Houston or Bama or Purdue. No one is coming close to that resume they put together.
Can you imagine, too, the storylines? Defending champs, number 1 overall seed the next year.
They play in Des Moines and Kansas City. I'm telling you.
It's terrifying. That's as much pressure as you can possibly put on a defending champ, but it's like, that's why you come to Kansas, is to just be the ultimate big dog, the team that everyone's like, God, Kansas is there again. It's doable, because I was going to say the same thing. Like, TCU embarrassed us. Like, they didn't just beat us, they embarrassed us. And if there's any game where Bill Self's going to go get revenge, give a big fist pump late in the game, it feels like it's a TCU game at TCU. Like, it just feels like a game we can go in and steal. Texas, and like you said, we can lose to Texas and still be there. Now, winning the Big 12 tournament, out of all the things we just said, 4-1, as hard as that sound, winning the Big 12 tournament might be the hardest thing we just mentioned.
Right.
Like, that is going to be a war.
But then again, if they go 5-0 and then losing the championship of the Big 12, it's, to me, the same thing.
What if they go, let's say they go 4-1 and lose in the semis of the Big 12 tournament. Are they a 1 seed? Like, I'm more concerned about 1 seed, the number 1 overall. Like
I wish I was with you on that one, but I'm just, because it's not going to be KC. If we don't hop, Purdue would go to Louisville given the choice. Bama would go to Louisville given the choice. But if they're both ahead of us and Houston's ahead of us, like, they're going to put all 3 of those teams in Kansas City if that's the next slot. So we'd be like, and that's a conversation we've had all year. Do you want the 2 seed in the Midwest, or do you want the 1 seed in Las Vegas or New York?
I want the 2 seed in the Midwest.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what scares me about being like the 4th 1 seed or the 3rd 1 seed and having to go half a country away when we could drive 40 minutes and be fine.
Oh, I don't know. It's just so daunting. I mean, to finish this stretch 7-1 sounds insane. And if we do that, we are the number 1 overall seed, and we're like the favorite. Like, I would bet we're the odds-on favorites almost to win the title by that point.
Yeah, I would think so.
I mean, maybe Houston, Ken Palm-wise, and
I wish I could tell Houston, like, no to win the national title. Like, they only give you the yes, and it's what, like plus 600 or something?
Yeah.
I'd pay minus 1,000. I know it's insane to say, but they're not winning the title. I'm sorry.
It's wild. I don't know. This is why being a KU fan is so fun. Here we are, fresh off a natty, fresh off a team that, you know, it didn't feel like we were going to be like a contender to win it all. And like, now we're talking number 1 overall seed talk, which we're a little ahead of ourselves. We still got to go like win some wildly impressive games, but our resume is outrageous. Like, it will, even if we Like, it's going to kind of bother me when Houston is overvalued. Like, if we go 3-2 to end the conference and then win the Big 12 tournament, our resume is so much better than Houston's at that point. I don't even care that they have 2 losses. I don't know. I get at a certain point, racking up losses has to hurt you, but like, God, man, the 2 games we played last week, which was our last 2 games were some of our easiest stretch of the year, and it was 2 road games against teams that like would beat 70% of Houston's league.
Yeah, at least. And like Oklahoma State is the place that Bill struggles the most statistically, right? He's got more losses there than anywhere else.
And it's probably not, I shouldn't probably be going after Houston because they are good, whatever. But it's just so frustrating when we've seen it with Gonzaga for years, and I'm a Gonzaga defender, but like it is a little annoying when teams just get an auto number 1 overall seed because they played nobody for months. And it normally comes back to haunt them, and we'll see. But I don't know. Houston just, what are you making that face for? Breaking news.
Well, I went to look at like national championship futures, and then I just saw the conference winner tab. So I went over just to see what the Big 12 was. Try to take a guess at what KU, Baylor, and Texas are. Because I would thought they'd be pretty even.
I would bet KU is now plus 170.
So Texas is 3-1. Baylor is plus 225. The Hawks are minus 110.
What?
The Hawks are a straight bet away from winning the fucking Big 12.
Minus 110?
Yeah. I guess it makes sense, though, because like we just went through the schedule and all the logic and history playing out. We're going to finish 4-1 or 5-0. I don't know if they're winning at Texas, but like there's significant reason to believe, just based on who Bill Self is and what this KU program is, that they're going to win these next 2 games just based on history. And then they're not losing to Westphal or Tech at home. So like
that also, I would love to see like 1 seed odds and stuff.
Yeah, I was looking for that, but I would think so.
You want to know what's wild? Remember that parlay I have that I bet 50 on KU, Purdue, Virginia, Houston, and Gonzaga to win their conference. Guess which team's going to cost me the parlay? Gonzaga.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, I forgot I also have Dayton, A10, and Dayton.
Are they bad?
No, they're fine. They're tied. I think they're tied for first. But, like, Gonzaga, I just threw on the end of the parlay thinking, okay, we'll increase the odds a little bit. Like,
it feels like free money. When was the last time they lost one? Is this going to end a streak for them?
It's been a while, which everyone thought they would break our streak. So maybe this
should be rooting.
But like,
yeah,
they God, I've been trying to talk myself. I mean, St. Mary still has to go to Gonzaga, so they could tie for the league. But then it comes down to tiebreaker, and to win the bet, the team's got to get the 1 seed in the tournament. I have no idea how that, but I feel like St. Mary's. I'd have to look up all the tiebreakers, but like I thought Gonzaga was an auto win. They're always an auto.
Am I crazy? Didn't they? I feel like there's a weird story that came out about the West Coast Conference, that they're gonna like start using analytical websites to determine stuff. Am I crazy on that?
No.
I mean, they already have like a triple bye for like the 1 and the 2 seeds.
That's bad for me because it's
very bad.
Mary's, like everyone loves St. Mary's analytically.
St. Mary's low-key ranked higher than KU in KenPom right now.
God,
have been for a while.
So that's funny.
Trivia time. Do you know who's in first place in the ACC? Maybe for like 5 more minutes until, Virginia.
Is it Miami or Clemson?
Neither.
What?
Virginia's about to be tied.
It's not Miami, Clemson, or NC State? I don't know.
No. Jeff Capel, baby. The Pitt Panthers.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Talk about that guy's probably like eyeing that Duke job. Like, let me know when you're sick of Josh Shire, because I'm scared.
Sean over, baby.
Just kidding. How about Coach K? I will not attend a Duke game all year. Guess what he did.
Yeah.
Coach K.
Yep. Can we just laugh at the other Blue Bloods just for this year? Carolina, they haven't won a quad 1 game. 0 quad 1 wins. Dude, how does that happen?
This is a classic example of like when guys decide to go pro, don't yell at them. Don't be mad at them because you can really make a bad decision by it. Now, I'm sure they've killed it from NIL, so, it's fine. But, like, Caleb Love's stock was never getting higher than it was after he made that shot in Duke's face in the Final Four. Armando Bacot's stock, now, I don't really see him being a huge force in the league ever, but, like, stock wasn't going to get much better than it did through that tournament run. Those guys coming back was cool. I get it, but, like, yikes. This has been as poorly as it could have possibly gone.
It's like they forgot how the whole season went. And people were hinting at it for, like, months leading into the season. They were a very average team that got very, very, very hot at the right time, and that works sometimes, but it's not consistent. 8 seeds don't make the championship game every year. They might not even make the tournament, dude. Them in Kentucky, were they 1-2 preseason?
I think maybe Gonzaga was 2 and Kentucky was 3, but maybe
either way.
I don't know. They were
The
both
fact that they're
for sure.
The fact that neither of them may make the tournament. Both of them might not make the tournament. It's pretty crazy.
Dude, in Kentucky, like, they just stink. Like, North Carolina, I don't know why. Maybe I'm just still scarred. I was terrified of them last year in the Final Four. Like, they were electric at moments. So, like, I still have this, like, wonder, like, is it LeBron just kind of not give a shit about the regular season and turn it on? Now, it's so absurd to compare UNC to them. I just think they're not that well coached, and I think they peaked like we thought. But, like, I still have this sense of, like, can North Carolina maybe just flip the switch, get a 9 seed, get a 10 seed, and be really good, make a Sweet 16? I don't know. I can't see it with Kentucky. That team.
Kentucky doesn't have it. I'm trying to find their Ken Palm right now just to see what they are.
They are miserable to watch offensively.
Yeah, Duke, Carolina, and Kentucky are all in, like, the upper 30s, lower 40s.
It's nuts.
It's
crazy. Did you see that graphic the other day that said Wisconsin was a blue blood?
Oh, my God. Also, one thing that I heard on Parrish and Norlander earlier today, you remember all the talk last year about how Villanova's a blue blood and people got super pissed off about it? You know who's got zero slack for stinking this year? Villa-fucking-Nova. They're horrible.
Yeah.
People will talk shit on Duke. People will talk shit on Kentucky. People will talk shit on Carolina. I haven't heard a thing. I didn't even know Villanova was bad.
You want to know the reoccurring theme with all those blue bloods that me and you have roasted? None of them, North Carolina, Duke, Villanova, conducted a coaching search.
Nope.
None of them. They just handpicked dudes. Villanova's was even crazier. The dude was at, like, Fordham. That one was crazy. The Duke one you get, whatever, handed to the guy Coach K handpicks, whatever. North Carolina, they could have gone out and got Wes Miller. Now, I don't know how good Wes Miller's been, but he seems like a stud. They could have gone out, probably got, like, Nate Oates or something. I don't know. But it is nuts to think 3 blue bloods, if you want to call Villanova blue blood, which them losing their best coach ever and immediately becoming irrelevant would tell me they're not a blue blood. But whatever. Villanova, I'll let it slide.
3 titles in 40 years,
Yeah. To not conduct coaching searches, and now it seems to be, no, Carolina fans would say, we just made the national championship. But, like, if you watch North Carolina these last 2 seasons and you think Hubert Davis is, like, an elite coach, you're crazy. Like, the dude is not, he's solid, great guy, would love to play for him. He's not Roy Williams. He's not Bill Self. He's not a blue blood coach from what I've seen. Maybe he gets better. I don't know. And I don't know. In John Shire, we'll see. I think Duke has a chance to continue to just be a well-oiled machine. Their recruiting class is insane. But it is wild to think how different the last 12 months has been. Just how everything's gone right for KU and everything's gone horrible for those other teams.
Mm-hmm. It's fun to watch. I mean, I like it because right now, I mean, I don't know how someone could say KU's not the best program in the country, no?
No.
I mean, consistently great. And we would make that argument before the title last year, but I think that kind of cements it as, like, almost fact at this point. They're never bad. Like, they don't have these years that Duke's having or Kentucky's having. I've never seen KU on the bubble.
No.
Like, think about it.
No.
Like, we never tune into Lenardi's ESPN Bracketology or Super Celtic 24 and wonder if KU's going to be in the field.
Think about how bad 2019 was, and now we're idiots, but like we convinced ourselves by getting in the Midwest that we were going to make a Final Four. We were horrible, and we were 4 seed. Like
we weren't even that far off.
Yeah,
the 5 seed ended up going.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
they smoked us
1,000.
What?
So yeah, it's wild, but the thing about best program is, like, I think we maybe all would have agreed that Villanova was actually the best current program going into the Final Four last year. Mm-hmm. Like, I think we all would have been saying Jay Wright might be the best coach, Villanova might be the best program, and it's crazy. That game just flipped everything. Jay Wright retires. He probably would have anyways, but I like to believe that we whooped his ass so much he decided to retire. I don't know. It feels good, and it's going to suck when this all comes back. You know, like, at some point, I tweeted this last night, like the 20-year, and I brought this up on the pod before, but the last 20 years, we will not see a more consistent stretch of winning ever. We may win more championships. We may find a way to win 3 titles in 20 years, but I promise you those 20 years are going to have a 9, 10, 11 seed type year or an NIT type year. We will not have another 20-year stretch in our lifetime where we are just this consistently good every year. It's nuts.
I love it. Can I make a cross-sport hypothetical question here for you to answer?
Yes.
Which team wins the championship again next, KU or the Chiefs?
The Chiefs. It's so hard to win national titles.
It's not exactly easy to win Super Bowls.
But the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes, and they've won 2 in 4 years. It has to be Chiefs.
It has to be, but what if KU just fucking wins 1 in 2 months?
Yeah, true.
Like, that's not out of the picture.
We've seen the NCAA tournament. You can have some incredible teams and not even make a Sweet 16. Whereas, like, if Mahomes just keeps being Mahomes and Kelsey obviously is not going to be there forever. Like, he's, 34? How old is Kelsey?
33, 34.
Yeah, so, like, I don't know. But to me, if you have Patrick Mahomes, you're knocking on the door every year. Now, we're knocking on the door, too. I just feel like our door has a lot more things behind it that keep shutting it in our face. Like, Bill Self was so close to, once again, not winning a natty last year against an 8 seed, 9 seed that stinks this year. Like, that's how crazy the tournament is. So, I don't know. I think Mahomes is going to win, like, another one in the next 3 years.
So, like, over under on Mahomes 4.5. Is that too low? That's the thing, though. Like, it's easy to say now. We had these same talks when they won it last time and made the next one. Like, right now, it feels like he's going to win a ton. The AFC quarterbacks, man, are so stupid. So stupid.
He's just
like, the best 4 quarterbacks in the league might be in the AFC divisional round every year.
But he's just
like, if Lawrence is who he is, and then Herbert too, it's insane. Like,
it is crazy. But
switch up the conferences or some shit. It's so annoying that it's Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott in the NFC, and then the AFC.
Yeah, but you can't be worried about Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, if that Burrow is going to be Burrow, but Cincinnati,
right?
You know, I feel like damn near peaked.
People forget that. People forget that the Jags get Calvin Ridley back in a few months.
The game
back as if they ever had him, but like their offense is pretty fucking sick.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting. I mean, I would love to see like Vegas odds on who wins the title next. It would be Chiefs by a mile, I think.
Yeah.
But we are.
But like we just spent 5 minutes.
AU potentially being a 1 seed, the NCAA tournament. So it's like, yeah, it's wild. It's fun. People forget it's fun to be a KU and Chiefs fan right now.
Mm-hmm.
Very fun.
Some time.
All right, that's all I got. You got anything else?
No. I would like to say this on the air too. You just hate to see KU or K-State basketball turn into KU football. Like, it really is sad after all we heard in November and December. Oh, we told you guys suck. It really does suck to lose to the like 58th team in Ken Palm and the 71st team in Ken Palm within 4 days of each other by double digits both times, it felt like. So you do hate to see it. I hope things get better. The bright side, you may not have to worry about Tang to Texas or Tang to Kentucky because no one's calling them now. So
I saw a little Keith Tate meltdown. People were starting to question Old Tang pretty early.
Oh, wow.
I think it was
to be fair
that compared him to Bruce Weber.
To be
was a K-State fan.
You let Andy Reid run a stupid-ass play on 3rd and goal from the 3-yard line, and old Chiefs Twitter wants him fired. So, like, it happens to the best of us. There was one more thing I wanted to say. What the fuck did I want to say?
Was it K-State related?
Might have been.
What seed are they going to be? A 10 seed? 9 seed? 8 seed? Like, they were like a 2 seed the other day.
Yeah, dude, they were
now
all
just like
Palm like 3 weeks ago. It was nuts.
I don't know why.
I'm gonna go look.
10 seed's pretty crazy, but they could easily be a 9 seed, 8 seed, 7 seed.
Oh, of course. Mizzou lost by 33 points yesterday to an unranked team. That was the other part.
Hate to see that. A lot of things you hate to see this week.
I remember what I was gonna say. Has there ever been a better 12-month sports span for a region, essentially? Like when you put in Chiefs Super Bowl, KU National Championship, K-State football wins the Big 12, go to the Sugar Bowl. KU football comes out of nowhere. K-State basketball kind of comes out of nowhere.
It's think about if you're just like a fan on the East Coast, you're sitting there trying to think of an area that hasn't won anything in a long time. East Coast, West Coast, I don't know. You're sitting there damn, man. You know how fun it would be to be a KU fan and they're Chiefs fans? Damn. They're so jealous of us. And I remember being wildly jealous of Boston fans when they were just Celtics, Patriots. It was God, that would be so incredible. Mm-hmm. We're living it. It's
great. I tell you what. Yeah. So this was Lenardi's bracket before the games last night. So it doesn't take into effect K-State lost. But they were a 3 seed in the West. So, I mean, they're
way off.
Are they going to drop below a 6 or a 7?
I don't know. I guess I'm just assuming they lose 3 more games plus the loss in the Big 12 tournament. So,
but I don't know. I mean, they have a lot of good wins too and opportunities to boost it. It's just,
but God, if they finish 9-9 or 10-8, that's very possible. And you giving that team a 3 or 4 seed? I don't know, but
no,
we'll see. Big 12 is so crazy. It's going to be interesting to see how they seed the Big 12 because of how absurd the conference is. So, all right. Well, you hate to see it. Go Cats. Go Hawks. The Hawks are very much cooking. Big one Saturday. Scott Drew's fun to beat. I look forward to it if we do. So that's it. Thank you, as always, for listening. Rock Chalk.
Thanks for watching this production of KC Sports Network, the fastest growing sports media network in Kansas City. Check out these videos that feature our team of more than 15 former players, insiders, and analysts bringing you the best Chiefs coverage you can find. Entertain, educate, inform. KC Sports Network.